Greetings! Welcome to the second episode, so to speak, of Rock and Roll Spock. This time I'll be reviewing Thor, The Dark World, with a considerable amount of spoilers. I'll also talk about what I think is the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from various sources online. All that being said, let's get to the heart of things, shall we? Thor, The Dark World was pretty good. Hopefully it is indicative of what we'll be seeing quality-wise in Phase 2 of Marvel's quote-unquote cinematic universe. The casting is, as before, quite good. Hemsworth and Hiddleston both delivering as well as they did in the last Thor movie, as well as Avengers. Anthony Hopkins going nuts. That was something to see, though. The plot was a bit thin, but in all honesty, I didn't go into this expecting a Godfather-level story. The visual effects are what's to be expected of a movie of this caliber. All in all, pretty decent comic book action movie. Now on to a more detailed review, which means there are spoilers coming, so if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, I suggest you stop the video here because, well, spoilers. Live long and rock hard, everyone. Alright, let's move on. We'll start with the good and follow up with the bad. As mentioned earlier, the cast is great, from Hemsworth as Thor all the way to Benicio del Toro as the Collector. That's right. The first post-credit scene sets up next summer's Guardians of the Galaxy to a degree, with an appearance by the movie's main villain, the Collector. Back to Thor, however. The plot, while sadly thin, is coherent and makes at least a degree or two of sense. So at least there's that. Also, a lot of the little things in the movie, such as Loki turning into Captain America, Stan Lee's cameo, because, come on, like he wasn't going to show up. The effects of Loki having been in Selvig's head back in Avengers, and, though not really a little thing, but the entire sequence with Thor and Loki in Svartalfheim, which had me taking pretty much everything Loki did at face value, including his apparent death. All quite good. Of course, you can't have good without bad. And, well, there are a few things I took issue with. Firstly, the beginning of the movie seemed a bit, off. But with the battle scenes, it seemed like a mashup of conventional sci-fi and conventional fantasy that just... Yeah. I mean, seriously, why have all these energy weapons and energy line blades throughout the eight realms when Thor's just walking around with a frickin' hammer? However, the Dark Elves' black hole grenades, that's the best thing I can really think to call them, are pretty damned awesome. I mean, come on, basically toss a grenade at something and boom, black hole. Oh, at least the small and contained black hole, that is. Next, I kind of like the fact that the Dark Elves were pretty much exterminated, because I just don't like seeing that in comic book movies, and because, hey, the possibility of having them come back later on would be, could potentially be pretty interesting. And another thing, just what the hell did Loki do to Odin? When Thor goes to tell his father, hey, I'm going to go stay on Earth. We find out after Thor leaves, oh, it's actually Loki pretending to be Odin. So what did Loki do to Odin? And why didn't we get to see it? Finally, this is more of a fan gripe than anything, but when the hell did the Cosmic Cube and the Aether become Infinity Gems? Which the Infinity Gems are, classically speaking, separate from the Cube, and the Aether is something created simply for the movie. But we'll get to that later. At least a little bit later. A little bit. Also, while I did find myself rolling my eyes occasionally at the Thor-Jane Foster romance, it does at least serve the purpose of explaining why Thor will be involved against Ultron in the next Avengers movie, so I give that a pass. Now, as mentioned before, a little bit of the future of Marvel's movieverse, as it were. It seems a good portion of both Phase 2 and Phase 3 will concern Thanos, that purple-faced guy from the end of Avengers, bringing the Infinity Stones, as they're referred to by the Collector, together and wreaking havoc with them, which could potentially be quite cool if it's done right. And if they continue to let Joss Whedon make the Avengers movies, I'm pretty sure that they'll be done right. A lot of this will most likely be covered next summer in Guardians of the Galaxy, which also will hopefully open the door for more of Marvel's space characters, because some are kind of cool and would make for some interesting films, I think. Of course, a couple of sequels on the list for Phase 2. We got Captain America and Avengers, with Avengers Age of Ultron, to be exact, which of course seems like an odd choice to me, as the creator of Ultron, Hank Pym, won't be showing up in a movie, at least as far as anyone knows, until Phase 3 with Ant-Man. Also coming up for Marvel, at least supposedly, are movies starring Doctor Strange, Iron Fist, Black Panther, the teen team known as the Runaways, Miss Marvel, and a Blade reboot. Oh, that could be interesting. Some of these make perfect sense as additions to the lineup of the Avengers, or at least the expansion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Especially Miss Marvel, for that matter, which we'll explain that later. While others, not so much. As to who these characters are, aside from Blade, as hopefully all of you remember the Blade movie starring Wesley Snipes, a quick who's who. Doctor Strange is Marvel's master of the mystical arts, and gets called upon by everyone pretty much when they're dealing with anything magical in nature. It's kind of like he's kind of like a Rolodex of magic stuff. Could be kind of neat. If anything, it would make for some really interesting visuals. He's also been known to pal around with Blade on occasion in a group known as the Midnight Suns, which I can only see that really working if Marvel has managed to re-secure the rights to Ghost Rider, and maybe, hey, they can take the bad taste of those of the second Ghost Rider movie out of our mouths, right? Next up, Iron Fist. He's a martial artist who, through a mystical ceremony, can now channel energy to his fists, making them seem, well, made of iron. Yeah, I know. He's an occasional Avenger, but still, it just kind of seems like a reach of a movie to me. Next up would be Black Panther. Black Panther is the ruler of the fictional African nation of Wakanda, home to the made-up metal vibranium, which is used in the construction of Captain America's shield. That's kind of a plus right there. He's an on-again, off-again Avenger, and quite intelligent, but a little adept at hand-to-hand combat. Of course, the degree of how intelligent and how adept at hand-to-hand combat all depend upon who's writing him at that moment. Sometimes it's been a little off. Then there's the Runaways. The Runaways are probably, out of the whole batch of properties, the trickiest of the lot to pull off, as they are the children of supervillains trying to make good in the world. But none of the villains we've really seen, aside from Loki, that is, have been powered long enough and been villains long enough to, well, have teenage kids. However, Miss Marvel, that could be is one that I think will be a really good, solid pick. The problem is going to be getting people to go see it. Miss Marvel is a former Air Force intelligence officer / spy, and occasional S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, empowered by an alien spy after she was injured by one of his fellow, aliens. She's been an Avenger on more than a few occasions, even leading a team in the aftermath of the Civil War event. Also, with her links to various aliens and whatnot, she would make for an excellent bridge between the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Otherwise, the Guardians would probably just have to show up about the same time that Thanos shows up on Earth and say, "Hey, we're a bunch of guys that do stuff against Thanos in space." Of course, there's always what many Marvel fans, myself included, would love to see, though sadly we all know it will never happen. That would be a combination of all of Marvel's properties in one film, or at least the major ones. I mean, come on. Wolverine teaming up with Captain America, Spider-Man and Iron Man trading quips. These are the things that, a fanboy's dreams are made of. And hey, one can dream, right? So, anyways, with all that having been said, Thor was a decent flick worth sitting through. Also, for those who feel like shelling out the extra couple bucks for 3D, there's a pretty awesome scene from Captain America: The Winter Soldier preceding the trailer for the same movie, in which Cap takes on an elevator full of apparently crooked SHIELD agents and, well, kicks ass. Maybe not worth the extra $2, but hey, definitely worth an extra 75 cents. Looks like that's going to be it for now. Next time I swear there will be nothing to spoil, as the movie review isn't in the cards for a little while. And as always, remember to live long and rock hard. Peace out.